Welcome back to my shop. Today, on the bench, we've got the Yaesu FT-757GX again. In the ongoing attempts to get it working right. So, what we're going to do today is try to make it not talk back to me. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. This thing, as I've said before in other videos, is a project. It has driven me nuts since I bought it, and it's, I don't know, I suppose I bought it as a project to begin with, so I really can't say anything. It was on eBay for really cheap, but there's good reason for it, because it didn't work at all. Receive was almost nothing. Didn't switch bands half the time. No transmit at all. It just, come on, focus. Thank you. It's just been fun. So anyway, like I said, I bought it as a project radio. In the last video, we got it to actually transmit on frequency. This one, we're going to see if we can stop it from doing this. When I talk into it, you can hear it through the speaker. Yeah. And the thing is, it doesn't matter if there's no RF. No RF at all, and you can still hear it just fine. Turn the RF up. Yep, there it is. And it doesn't matter what channel or frequency you're on. And it does, you can't really hear it, I don't suppose, but it does the same thing on sideband. Not as bad, but it does it. I've been thinking about this, and I think that it's just not switching out the it's not shorting out the input to the audio amp, or the output of the audio amp to the speaker. We'll take a look at the manual here and see if we can find out what's. We're back, and we're going to figure out what's wrong with this thing. It still does it. Got that open. 1 2 1 2. Hello. There we go. And we got to figure out the schematic and what's going on first off. So here we've got, this is the audio amplifier, and our input through our AF gain pot comes down here through C202 and up here to this audio amplifier here, which evidently is working. So if we take a look at the scope, that would be on Q, well, C203, but we can get it on the collector of Q34. Q35. Q35 is, well, let's see, Q35 is right there. So we'll look at the collector at Q35, and it goes right back to here. And we're getting audio. So, when I'm talking, okay, so, and I'll show you. Hello. Would help if I did it here. So the collector of that Q35, and you can see it's got audio on it, just like it does normally. That's before the volume control, of course. But when I talk, there's audio on it. All right. So we go back one more step. Let's go back. See, Q35. It gets its input through D79 and comes off of the chip here. This chip and this transistor. Now this transistor, this Q31, it is the squelch circuit. I've had to replace several of those, and it does all kinds of strange things, but mostly the squelch doesn't work on either AM, FM, or sideband. It depends on what's part wrong with this chip, this IC, or this transistor. This IC is good. It's just a 4066 switch. So this is good on this radio. I've checked it. Everything is fine. So let's find out where this goes. Our audio is getting there, and everything is fine, except it's not getting cut off. So our amplifier is working. It's not getting cut off. This is not a switch because it's too high off ground. That's 10K. It's not going to be a switch. So let's go back up to the FM here. This is the FM chip, and this is this right here. And if you look, there is an audio mute on pin 16 that mutes the audio. This is a high gain, low power FM IFM, and this is supposed to mute the audio out. Well, they evidently didn't want to use this because there's pin 16. It's just open. It doesn't do anything. So what are they doing? Well, they are taking the, let's see, where is it? This transistor right here, they're biasing on this NPN transistor straight to ground directly out of pin 10. Now if we go look back here at pin 10, that's recovered audio right here, recovered audio, which goes out right to the audio output. Pin 16 would normally mute that right before the audio volume. Well, they don't use pin 16, so they use pin 15 right here. Now what's pin 15? Pin 15 is the squelch input. Well, if you remember, we have our own squelch circuit down here because this handles the squelch from AM, FM, and sideband. It even works on CW. And so we don't actually use the squelch circuit. However, what they're doing is they are biasing on this transistor, dragging this audio out to ground. This resistor right here is your level resistor, so that you could turn that so that your AM and sideband audio sounds about the same level. If you turn it up too high, the FM will just scream at you. So they're taking this output here and driving it out and down here and over to here, here, down to here, and into Q33, which is a buffer. So how does this switch? Well, the only way it could switch or supply voltage, let's look at Q23 and see what kind of voltages we've got here. We have on pin 23, or Q23, on the emitter we got 0. On the base we've got negative 0.196, and on the collector we got about 2.5, 2.3 volts. So when we key the mic on Q23, it goes to 0. Nothing happens. The collector, nothing happens, of course, because it's not turning on that NPN transistor. And now we got to find that D109 right there. That comes from this whole line of transmit 8 volt right to there. If we follow this line out, it feeds virtually everything. Transmit 8 volts. But we can't find this. Well, it goes right there. So after much scouring around, I discovered something. Let's see if we can get a good close look at this. If you take a look, right here, see that right there? If you take a look there, there's a diode. See it? Okay, well, that diode is D109. It is not marked on the layout of the board. What's more, if we look at it real careful, let's see if we can get this thing down. So if we look at it, you'll see that the anode of this thing is pointing the wrong way. So what we've got here is a diode that doesn't show up and isn't even marked on the board. It's marked with a little square, not a diode symbol. And it's put in backwards, and it's original. So we'll pause this, I'll replace it, we'll see what happens. Okay, well, we're back. I've got the diode turned around the right way. It checked good. So let's see what happens now. Turn it on. There's my volume. Test, 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 test. Nothing. It fixed it. I am no longer, give it some RF to make sure. Okay. Forgot to plug something back in. Whenever you take these boards out, there's like 5 things you got to take out just to get it back in, and I forgot to plug in the transmit. So let's try that again. Hello. Okay, we got audio and volume's up all the way, and I cannot hear myself. So plenty of audio. Alright, so there we go. It works. Now I must confess, I did this off camera because trying to find something like this on camera, it would just be a 6-hour ordeal. and I would have acres of film. Well, no film, but you know what I mean. Anyhow, one more step to the FT-757, and now it works. I guess we can test it, make sure that it does work. 1, 2, 3, yep, it works. There we go. It's a little hot, but it's okay. That's FM. Wow, hope you enjoyed this. That was just weird. I replaced all the diodes, and just to show everybody, I'm sure this has been done before, but the diodes that you want to replace in this, let's get a little video here going. Okay, the diodes that you want to replace on this thing are all in this section here. There, I mean, there's a bunch of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That one is a different kind. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's a total of 14 of them in there. That's with one kind. That's with a regular switching diode. Then over here on this section, you've got a couple of them which are silicon diodes, which are 0.2 in reverse volts instead of 0.5, and those blow out. Usually about half of these right here take a crap. And of course, this one might be in backwards if your FM's talking to you. So, there we go. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. This was an interesting one. Well, at least now I've got a whole radio back.